Hello, and welcome to this episode of Redefining the Customer Journey, where we take a deep dive into how anyone from a local small business owner up to a corporate CEO can build a modern business that is flexible and able to quickly adapt and evolve. Specifically, in this episode, we're going to be giving you some major takeaways on the topic of customer onboarding. With these easy to implement business principles, you're going to make more money while saving hundreds of hours by implementing a few simple steps. We've all seen businesses collapse because they were built on weak foundations, riddled with problems in their day to day, which are also unnecessarily complex to grow and scale. We want to help you build something that leverages your time and resources for maximum effectiveness without sacrificing your customer experience. I'm Paul Sokol, founder of BPro, best-selling author of the Infusionsoft cookbook, which contains over 80 CRM-based business recipes for automated follow-up. And I've been helping small to medium-sized businesses under 50 million annually grow with automation since 2008.
And I'm Bobby Perceau, founder of LeadPass.com, which helps you set your business processes on autopilot to free up more time for sales. I've been in the automation space since 2016, primarily in the financial sector. And in each episode, we're going to cover one specific CRM topic and explain what it is, why it's important, common problems, and the best solutions we've seen throughout our experiences. And as we mentioned, for today's episode, we are talking about customer onboarding. So the main two types of customer onboarding, or two types of onboarding, are the client onboarding and the team onboarding.
And we're going to be talking about the team onboarding, and it has its own episode 12 at the end of this. So today specifically, what we're talking about is the client onboarding. And what is this? This is that immediate post-purchase experience. So this is when the sales journey officially ends and it transitions into the fulfillment journey and everything beyond that. And so this is really where you have these two entities that they begin to work together. They have your business and then the customer, whatever that is. That's what the onboarding is. It's getting them set up for success. So why is this important, Bobby? Why should people consider this when they're building out their CRMs? Because this usually isn't talked about a lot when it comes to CRMs. It's usually sales and marketing, and then that's it. So why do you need to figure this out?
Yeah, this usually comes back to when you look at any of these CRM builds from the planning stage. So normally whenever you have a customer journey in an onboarding stage, it's derived from a number of SOPs. So as soon as you get the customer who is interested, you need to find out, okay, this is what they want. You qualify them, you move them through the process, and you sell them. Now they become your customer. As soon as they become your customer, there's probably a very long list of things that you need for them to accomplish in order to have a successful or happy client. And so let's say, for example, I am selling someone an automation service where they can sell, or they're using Go High Level to talk to their clients. Well, how are they going to talk to their clients? An SOP could be like, I need to set up their emails. I need to set up their templates. What type of business are they doing? And then you walk through each of the different components of their business and which things you need to accomplish to get them to the stage where they can use the service.
And that's a really good point because, yeah, sometimes the client onboarding, depending on your business, does have that platform component. And that's absolutely where you need to have SOPs. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're like, I don't know, a lawn care guy. Well, cool. Once they schedule the appointment for you to do their lawn, there's got to be stuff that happens in order. So I guess the biggest takeaway of why do you want to do this is because this completes the customer journey. If all you do is market and all you do is sell, and you totally don't care about the onboarding and the fulfillment of your service, your business ain't gonna be around for much longer. In fact, that's a really common issue that I see is that it is a very weak transition from the sales to the fulfillment. It's very underwhelming. Um, so
Yeah, so like when you just mentioned, like for a lawn care business, for example, like you don't really think about it, but like if I sell you a service that says, hey, I'm going to cut your grass. Well, if you have an individual going to cut the grass, you know, okay, they're going to need a lawnmower. Are we going to use a push, a ride-on, or an electric? Okay. Are we going to need a weed whacker? Okay, perfect. And is there going to be a leaf blower involved? Yes, no. Do they have their safety gear? Am I in compliance for my insurance? Do they have safety glasses, ear protections, gloves, steel-toed boots, high visibility vest? Is the oil there? Is the gas? Have we made sure that there's enough in the car to get there? What's the trash bags? So you have to go through all of these in each of the individual pieces, so that nothing goes, gets swept under the rug and errors happen.
Yeah, and that's about being very clear on how do you do your thing. That's why I love using McDonald's as an example, because it doesn't matter where you go in the world. When you buy a Big Mac, it is made the exact same way, regardless of where you're at, and regardless of who's making it. And their SOPs are very exciting. And I use the word exciting just because I'm a giant nerd, because they're usually picture driven. They actually don't require you to read. It's all images of how do you build it, and then their setup station of all the lettuce and the pickles and all that. Those are all uniform and figured out. Nothing is left to chance. Um, and that's a very common issue, is that people will feel lost on either side of that sales or the fulfillment experience, because it has been left up to chance, because it hasn't been clearly defined that, oh, I'm making a Big Mac, so here's where the buns are, here's where the pickles are. And even the stuff of like refilling it, like with the lawn care, Bobby, it was, do we make sure we have enough gas? Okay, cool. What's the SOP the night before the appointment to make sure that we have enough gas in the car? Like that, this is, it cannot be left to chance. I'd say that's a huge takeaway, is don't leave your onboarding up to chance, because then you're going to get chancy results, which are always very not what you're hoping for, especially when you're using a CRM.
And usually, when you are looking at like a client standpoint versus a salesperson or the service, they both kind of know what is entailed in that. So if I know that I'm going to go and get my, professionally service landscaping done, I have everything laid out exactly what I'm getting in my sales portion, where I'm paying you on my bill of sale, for example. And that usually always correlates with the SOP. So if there's a miscommunication between these two, that's where a lot of issues can arise, especially with repeat customers, or if you have new salespeople that you're training or new clients, and it's a new service for that individual client with no predecessor of, this is what happened last time, this is what we're looking for. It always comes back down to problems. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to get out of it once you start on a rocky footprint from those relationships.
Yeah, because like the customer doesn't care what's happening on the back end. They just we'll stick with the lawn example because that's a really good ground level kind of thing. Like, they just want their lawn done. You told the sales rep that you've got shrubs, so you want your shrubs done. You've told them that, like, whatever, you have a gate code so that they can get into the back of the lawn, right? The backyard. If that isn't being communicated from the sales to the fulfillment, the customer doesn't care. The customer does not make distinct, oh, I'm in the sales journey, on the fulfillment journey. That's what we do as like the business owners. But like, if you don't factor that in, if you don't document it, it's gonna be bad. And yeah, this is, in my opinion, what separates the good companies from the great ones. The great ones are willing to sit down and do that very boring, droll, unsexy work to figure out exactly what the value is on either side of the equation and how they work. Which we're going to talk about a lot more about that in episode 11, where we talk about the daily, day-to-day operations here. So, man, any other common issues you can think of with onboarding, Bobby, or should we just start talking? I mean, we're talking about solutions, but
I think that most of the topics were covered of like common issues, and we could dive down so deep in this just from past experiences of what was expected from one side but not fulfilled on the other, and what are some of the things that could have been resolved or to avoid that, alleviate that situation from beginning. But one of the best solutions is just map it out and do it properly from the first time. Go ahead, and even before you start to say, okay, hey, listen, I'm going to sell this client, think about all the processes from start to finish of exactly what you're offering and everything on the back end that you need to fulfill in order to achieve a success in that transaction, so that you can redo that transaction as many times as possible for as many possible people. So checklists are always good. Making sure that all the SOPs match exactly what you're telling the service people, what you're telling salespeople, what you're telling in detail to the customer who is buying this service, that everything lines up from one stage to the next. And that really helps with every part of your business.
Yeah.
So
And really, some people ask, what is an SOP? What's a standard operating procedure? I mean, that's the checklist. It's like do this, then that, then that, then that, which gets back to planning, which we've been talking about many episodes over here. And whenever I'm working on CRM build outs for clients, I will start with the fulfillment first. I will plan that customer journey post cash and post purchase first. So that way we're clear on exactly what's supposed to happen, which usually that's more complex in the sales process, definitely a lot more complex in the marketing process. But when you have that context, now you can turn around and say, okay, what does the sales process need to look like to make this happen? Because that's a really good solution to where prevent this kind of slop operations, as I call it, is making sure that there's just warm handshakes every way and every step of the process. So if the sales team is like, hey, um, is there a gate code to get in? Making sure that part of the checklist is communicating, okay, cool. I've put the gate code in for our lawn guy to be able to get into your lawn and actually mow your lawn. Very cool. Hey, you're going to get a text message the morning of to confirm, more specifically what time exactly they're going to come in. It should be a very almost like a relay race, from people on your team. Even if you're the only person, you still need to develop that for yourself, um, so you can just be excellent in what you do, but also that's going to make it a lot easier to grow and scale, because then you're going to see those things of like, I can absolutely take this specific part of the checklist, hire somebody to do it, and that's your first hire.
and that's just basically a step-by-step guide for not only your internal staff but also for the customer. And throughout the process of the SOP, you make distinct and key milestones that, hey, this and this is going to happen, and we hit this milestone.
Mm-hmm.
Step, this milestone. And that's how you should do it for every single piece of every single process in your business. And then, some people might actually use this as a pipeline. So like if you're doing mortgages, for example, you might have 14, 15 different key milestones. Did I get approved? Are all the documents in? Did my lawyer say, okay, are the mortgage rates perfect? Did the realtor say, yes, the house is going to be no conditions? So some people might actually want to use, these key milestones and these step-by-step SOPs at each stage of the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, here it is. We are approved for the mortgage. We've gotten the rate that we were looking for. The beeps look awesome. And then the SOP would be / automation. Send the information to the lawyer, send the information to the realtor, confirm with the client, send the documents to the next stage, and then just move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So those are really clear, concise, easy ways to understand SOPs and the sales process, right?
Yeah, and I want to. I'll have a recent takeaway that I did. I recently bought a brand new kitchen set, table and chairs and whatnot. And at the store, because I went to a showroom, I said, "Here's what I want to get." The homie puts it in the little placing order iPad. Before I went up to the register and paid, he got one of his managers, and his manager double checked that what we were ordering, what was on the purchase order was what we wanted. He double checked our delivery address. There was like a couple of really specific things that he made sure were correct on it. And me being, a business operations guy, I'm like, this is absolutely 100% part of the process. This isn't this guy's asking his manager because he's not confident or because he's in training. It's like this is something that the company acknowledges is a key milestone, that the purchase order, every single one is reviewed by a manager to make sure that it's a very clear, everything from here, and that they do it right the first time, basically. So I'd say the biggest takeaway from this is, if you're going to spend a lot of time planning and building something for, in a CRM, start with the onboarding. Make that as airtight as humanly possible, um, and everybody's just going to be happier. You're going to be happier. Your customers are going to be happier. And then it's also a lot easier to ask for things like referrals and testimonials after the fact because you know you did it right. Uh, I think that's about it. We could talk about this all day here, but uh, let's go ahead and we'll end with that, Bobby. So for everybody out here watching and listening, thank you so much. And if you ever have any questions, please let us know in the comments. Make sure you definitely watch the next episode where we're going to be talking about reporting, which is an operational distinction that is behind the scenes of all the marketing and sales and fulfillment. So be sure to subscribe now if you haven't already so you don't miss it. If you want to learn more about customer journeys, you can get my free How to Automate Like a Pro mini course. And if you want some pre-built automations and customer journeys, Bobby is giving away a couple free of those free things. Look in the description. All the links are in there. And we will see you next time.